Last Friday, the Chaos crew were in Hillingdon, West London, to broadcast from CTEC Plus's new Uxbridge offices for their Feeling Good event. This event was all about getting the word out to the community and local organisations that CTEC are now in this area. And we are very excited to be joined by the co-host of that event, Elaine King, a integration manager with CTEC Plus Hillingdon. Hello. How are you doing? I'm not quite getting you through it. Can we just double check you're not muted on your side?
No.
There we go. I've got you now. There we go.
Is that okay?
You're all fine now. Elaine, it's lovely to see your face again.
Nice to see you as well, Pudge.
I managed to actually tune in a little bit because obviously I wasn't at this event. I managed to tune in though and have a little watch. Caught you in action, doing fantastic. Very well done. You know. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you had a fantastic bank holiday weekend. It was a great feel-good event, wasn't it? Or feeling-good event on Friday. How was it for you? Did you enjoy your sort of first ever presenting role? Should I be worried about my job?
I'm after you. I'm after you. To be honest, it was phenomenal. I'm going to use the word awesome. It was brilliant and really, really satisfying. It's the first time ever, Pudge, that I've done anything like presenting on like a TV studio. And I mean, the studio looked real. It felt real. And I was really amazed how quickly they were able to put everything together. Chaos TV, they did a really good job because I know there were lots and lots of behind the scenes work to get us all ready leading up to the big event. But it came together so nicely. And I was really pleased with the staff, and the participants and my stakeholders. So yes, a big yes. I was really delighted at how everything turned out. I was really, really happy about it.
Fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that. It is strange, isn't it? 'Cause I can see it from the other side. Like, you go from just a room to the massive setup very suddenly and a show happening to nothing again. You think, did that all happen? It's all strange. But it's really glad. I'm glad that everything went well. I'm glad you enjoyed your first presenting role. I hear your guest speaker at the event was local MP John McDonnell, who has represented the Hillingdon area for quite some years now. He must have seen some huge changes in the area. How was your chat with him?
Oh, he was brilliant, very eloquent. And I was really taken aback with the knowledge that he had. And I mean, he shared with me, he's lived in Hillingdon for over 50 years.
Wow.
He shared with me that it's a very vibrant and there's a great sense of community, very, very multicultural. He said he believes that Hillingdon is the hidden jewel in London. And he said it's a very good place to live and work. As an MP for 25 years. So that says a lot about him and the constituents and how they feel about him. He said he originally moved there for work. And back in the day, it was like heavy metal industry with different cultures and cuisines. But now you've got all the new tech and all the services coming in. And so with the crossroad into London, you've got Heathrow Airport. He's seeing much more people moving into the area. That's where you get all the diversity and all the richness of what's, Hillingdon now has to present. He also educated me because he also talked about the housing and the history of the housing, the challenges. But he also talked about the work that they are, because it's now high tech, the work skill has changed somewhat. So they're requiring higher skilled people with more flexible skills and given a more holistic support that these people would need. So he's like a walking encyclopedia of knowledge for Hillingdon. Really a great chat.
Oh, fantastic! It's lovely to hear. To hear for yourself how much he's imparted, the knowledge on the area. It sounds like a lovely place. Like any area, it's going to have some issues here, there, or somewhere in some shape or form. Did he highlight any of those at all?
He did, actually. Again, it was something that I highlighted also in my first interview with you. I don't know if you remembered. I talked about funding and housing. And those are the things that he also mentioned. Definitely with housing, a greater influx of different people coming into the area. The area is growing. People looking for work opportunities, which is now being placed in Hillingdon. But he also mentioned Uxbridge College and how they are offering a lot of upskilling in terms of the ESOL and language for getting people more ready for work. And he said it's coming together quite nicely, but there is issues that, and he looked at an event like this and what CTech Plus is doing, trying to bring the community together. And that's the quest of my organization. And he said it as well. So more of us coming together, understanding what the needs are and seeing how we can all come together corporately to help Hillingdon to actually grow and develop even much more than it's done.
Absolutely. It sounds like he was on the same lines as you then, effectively, which is always really good when your local MP, is with you and got your back. You talked about Uxbridge College there. I understand you've spoken with a few of the local training providers, including them obviously, as well as Strive Training, Pathways, LDN. I'm recognising a couple of names here from our last interview as well. I can
Yes.
imagine a great opportunity for CTech to form these kind of working relationships.
Absolutely. I think I've been with the company now going into my 11th month. And what I've recognized with these organizations like CTEC, we all are there with the contracts we're working on and we're doing our own thing. So, in talking to all the different organizations, not just the training providers, but you've got the voluntary organizations, you've got the employers as well. I'm thinking, how can we best bring people together to serve the community in a more meaningful way?
Mm.
And how do we, from a corporate point of view, get a bigger slice of the pie in terms of funding? How do
Mm.
we support the community? How can we bring together like all of our knowledge and the reach that we will have if we can all work as a group? Because when I look at the pattern, I look at the fact that we get our referrals and participants from the job centre, but not everybody is ready for work,
No.
which means we have to find the partners to help CTech Plus upskill them, getting them ready. This is where Belina Consulting, Dynamic Training, Strive, Pathways, they all come, Uxbridge College, they play a critical role and they bring different attributes. Some of them, especially like Uxbridge College, we work very closely with them. They have the SWAPs, which is the sector-based work academy programs, where in most cases that they have guaranteed interviews for the participants who go on those training and possibility for jobs at the end of that. We also have the look at the attributes of other training providers. Some offer vocational training, some offer short courses, some offer ESOL. So I'm saying to myself, and then you got the employers, they are looking for qualified people. They're looking for help and guidance in upskilling the people coming into their workforce. And we have the workforce that we're getting ready to place into the employers. So there's like I say to my manager, a 4x4 relay. We're going to start it, then we pass it on. And the end is when the participant gets a job and they're in paid employment. That is when we've won the race. So in meeting all of these training providers, I was saying to myself, what else can we do? And one of the ideas that I'm formulating in my head, and I have a couple of people we're like-minded, we're saying the same thing. We're working in silos, all on different contracts, but essentially to help Hillingdon and Hillingdon's community. How can we come together? So one of the things I'm trying to develop is the concept of like a consortium where we can put all our skills, our knowledge, all our best attributes together. Let's work separate but together, and let's see how best we can develop Hillingdon in a more meaningful way.
That's beautiful. I love that the way you put that as well. The like the sort of the relay race. We've had a lot of groups on here that we talk to, and they've all come together to say the same thing, much like you have as well. That people these groups and organisations need to work together, so people don't come out of one and just sort of get lost.
Absolutely, because that is the fear. If we don't work together and the participant is the key person that will suffer long term, because they've got all of this training, doing all of these different things, but where does it lead to?
Mm.
Some we're funded differently. Sometimes we are looked at in terms of our performance for job entries, and we have different criterias for different organizations. So we're not all competing per se. So we need to work together to see how best we can deliver quality jobs for Londoners. And I think that's part of the recovery programme from the Lord Mayor of London. It's all about quality jobs for Londoners, and how best can we give support in a holistic way that at the end of the day they have a better chance of a job entry getting into work. And when they get into work, CTEC Plus offers in-work support as well, so they're not just left hanging. So even if they've gone to, say, Uxbridge College, or we send some participants to Uxbridge College or to Strive Training, which is what we have done. From there, they can go on and do something else with another provider that we found to work specifically with their customized needs to get them more ready, because they're not always ready at the same time. So working together makes a hell of a lot of sense.
And it gives opportunities to everyone, doesn't it? At all different levels.
Absolutely.
You get
Absolutely.
that old. There's an old picture that I've seen. It's done the round on Facebook as well, and it's something like a monkey, a goldfish in a bowl, an elephant, and a giraffe, and it says first person to the top of the tree gets the education. It's like, well, you can't treat all those animals the same way. That obviously the monkey's going to be best, and I've always looked back to that. I've always had that stuck in my head when I look at education and people trying to get into work. So it's lovely to see these kind of multiple opportunities and multiple ways that people can go at different speeds, but eventually still get to that end goal.
Absolutely. You've got it. You've got it.
Now, obviously, an important subject we've talked about before, and it's lovely to hear how much of diversity there is in Hillingdon, is diversity and inclusion. What kind of conversations were had about that at the event?
There was one particular company that I invited to come on board to talk, as a key speaker. That's Melanie Ashton from Compass Training. And she's the EDI manager, Equality, Diversity and Inclusive manager. And she works for Compass, and she does a really good job. And in having conversations with her, she also understands the remit. Now, they have over 40,000, that's 40,000 employees, and
Wow.
across 6,000 sites. So you can understand that she deals with a lot of recruitment, which means she has to have the strategy in place to bring all these people on board. And she deals with a lot of frontline staff in recruitment as well. And she works with employees, potential employees that have no experience and no qualifications. And she offers that support and development. And she also said to me that inclusion is on top of her remit, and she's on top of her game with inclusion. And she spoke about, if memory serves me, three pillars she spoke about. The ability to listen and educate those they bring on board. The second pillar was about taking a stand and doing the right thing in terms of recruitment, not being biased, finding the right person for the right job. And she says, when you've done all of that, it's about attracting, developing, and one of the key areas about retaining the staff. Because as you can appreciate, Pudge, it's very expensive to recruit and to train. So it's very important to retain the staff that you bring on board. So she's very keen on targeting the diverse groups. She kept on talking about that the organisation is highly inclusive. A wide mix of ethnicities. Admittedly, there was a question I asked her about targeting ethnicities at all levels. And she was honest in saying that the majority of the people they bring on board is at the lower level, but they have a great focus on trying to attract that higher level person to the organizations. And she does this through the different job boards, schools, word of mouth. She talked about apprenticeships, and she even worked with several charities that deals with ex-offenders and, other partnerships, because we also have to be inclusive in terms of how we look at recruiting. So it's not just diversities in terms of ethnicity. It's also the LGBT, etc. It's also about people who are ex-offenders as well, that has, done what they served their time, and they need to be treated equally and fairly. So she was a pillar of strength herself, and very knowledgeable, and also taught me a few things as well, because what she's put back in my head, which is critical, it's not just about attracting, it's about developing the people you bring on board, and also training and to retain your staff that you do bring on board.
She sounds like a wonderful person, absolutely brilliant, amongst
She
many,
was.
many wonderful people, of course. I'm going to go a little bit different way now. I've been told we've got some photos to look at, which would be absolutely lovely. Let's have a look at a few of these. So could you give us a little? I mean, I can see Henry obviously
they're
in
going
there.
so quickly.
Oh,
Yes. Well, it's changed again.
Any chance of slowing him down, Owen? No. What have we got going on here? So you're having a nice, comfy time.
Okay, that was a session with Liz and one of her. I think her name is Chanel, and this is Liz from Bellina, I believe, and this is one of her workers, employees, but she was a participant, and she also gave us a very touching story where she came in as a beginning, as a participant within the training. And they liked her so well. She excelled. She did so well that she ended up being a employee working with that company. And you see quite a lot of that happening as well. And it stands to reason, and it makes sense. The photos are going so quickly though, Pert.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't realise quite how many there are. We
Yes.
don't have a great amount of time. I love this photo, by the way. I saw this one during
Yeah,
the
we're
event.
all in our
Absolutely
element
lovely.
there. Yes, beautiful.
If you don't mind, I'm going to continue asking questions as these are cycling through, so people can still see them on the screen.
Absolutely.
So, talking about some of the participants, it was great to see some of them there. Lovely to hear them sharing their stories, wasn't it?
Very. I think the stories were very touching. I could hear and feel the tenacity and the resilience, because they had to fight. In not all the cases, their English was the first language, so they had to fight extra hard to get into the organizations. Some of them were highly qualified in their countries, but because of barriers to entry, which may be language, they found it a little difficult. And this is where we used our other training providers to help upskill in terms of ESOL, whether it was vocational, basic English, basic maths, and things like that to help them upskill. So it was a very exciting to hear the stories, but very touching. As I said, there was one young lady at the end. I think, as I said, her name was Chanel. She had a story to tell, and it just tells me that we're doing a good job. We're here doing the right thing for the right people, for the community, which is to help them find long-term sustainable employment.
Absolutely fantastic. These photos going through are lovely. That's a really good one just to stop. It could
Yes.
be stop. Oh, no, never mind. You see the technology we had coming up there. It must have been quite a shock to the staff for Chaos to turn up with all of this equipment and take over the space. But I'm told everyone there was welcoming. Hoping all of you guys enjoyed the event as well.
We did. The staff were phenomenal as well. And a massive shout out and thank you to the Uxbridge team. They were fantastic. I was extremely pleased with their contribution and what they had to say. As you can see, we have a very diverse team ourselves. There's 20 languages spoken in our office alone.
Wow.
So that tells you how diverse.
Amazing.
A lot of the team, they're highly educated with their masters and first degrees, experience and knowledge. So they are really posed to really in a good position to help the participants coming in. I'm really proud of the team, and I'm really, really proud to hear what the participants had to say about the team. Really, really happy about that one.
you can hear the passion in your voice about this. It's
Oh,
really lovely
yes.
to hear. And obviously, it wasn't just a broadcast on Friday, was it? I just understand there was a really successful networking session going on during the broadcast as well. How did that go?
That was phenomenal. And I keep using the word phenomenal because that's the phrase that they were using to describe the event with the networking session. So while we were sitting on the sofa doing our thing in another room where everybody was like together waiting, we had a lovely buffet. So they had something to eat and drink. But more important, they were integrating, they were collaborating. We had the training organization, a few employers, and the feedback I got, especially from my director Lorna, was it was outstanding. She was really happy to see how everybody was mingling and taking the opportunity to integrate and share cards, share information, and they're actually booking appointments with each other, which means they're going to follow up after that networking session. So that was awesome. It was really an exciting. Everybody was happy, and most of all, the staff, my management, and I forgot to mention that the head of supply chain operations manager, she was also there. She represents Indius, which is our prime partner with the Restart program, and she was really impressed with what she saw. So all in all, everybody was extremely happy. It was a real worthwhile networking session from what I've been told.
Oh, it's so good to hear how well it went. It was lovely to watch it, the bits that I could watch at home. I had a busy day. That's the only reason I couldn't watch the whole lot. But just to sort of log on, start watching and see everyone's happy faces. Like that was an immediate key giveaway to how well it was going, and have a little listen to it all. It's been lovely chatting to you, Elaine. Is there any sort of last things you'd like to say, a bit off script, to anyone watching this who maybe want to get in contact? Maybe there's some contact details out there.
Well, essentially, in terms of the organisation and referrals, everything's come through the Job Centre Plus. So that's how we get our referrals. But I will say to you, we have our Facebook page. I can't remember it offhand. We are there in the directory. We are there. I'm here to help you. And as I said, just reach out to us. We are accessible, easy accessible. Just give us a call, give us a shout. And I'm just there to chat with anyone and to collaborate and integrate with everyone.
Fantastic. Well, Elaine, again, thank you very much for coming along. It'd be lovely to chat to you again in the future. If anyone has missed any of the broadcasts on Friday, we will actually be rerunning some of the best bits on Thursday's show. Otherwise, though, Elaine,
Super.
lovely to catch you again.
Lovely, Podge. Welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much, Elaine. There, absolutely brilliant. That was Elaine King, Integration Manager, CTEC Plus Hillingdon, and what an amazing event it was.